Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Jigowatts. I am Peter, that is Connor, and this is our weekly movie news show where we talk about movie news. How did I fumble that line? We talk about movie news, and of course, we have various sections. We have a comic movie section, we have a horror movie section, we of course have the general section, and we talk about some of the more interesting news stories of the week. I have to admit, lighter week this week. Not the big bombshells that we sometimes have that headline the show. But hey, it's okay to have a quieter week every once in a while.
Yeah, I feel like it's been a while.
Yeah. So yeah, we start with the box office. That's what we always do at the start. And we did make some predictions last week, some guesses. We'll see how laughably wrong we were.
Probably very. I don't recall what we guessed, but I'm sure it's awful.
So we guessed for 3 films. We guessed for the second weekend of The Meg, the opening weekend for Mile 22, and the opening weekend for Crazy Rich Asians.
That's the one I feel like we may have gotten seriously underestimated.
Well, number 1 was Crazy Rich Asians.
What did we guess?
Well, the actual amount was 25 million.
Okay.
You guessed 25 million.
Did I? Okay.
And I guessed 29. So I had a good guess, but you were actually pretty spot on. So there you go. That's for the 3-day weekend, of course. I know people are reporting 4-day takes and 5-day takes. Strictly the 3-day weekend is always what we're looking at.
It's true. Joe, you can tell I have no idea what I guessed last week when I'm surprised when I was right.
Yeah, no, the movie's doing well. Apparently, it's the highest romantic comedy opening of the last 3 years. So which tells you that romantic comedies aren't opening super huge compared to other genres. But
to be fair, they don't seem as prevalent as they were, maybe a decade ago, early 2000s.
Yeah, no, they don't. They definitely don't. And obviously, there's a lot of people praising the film for having like an all-Asian cast, but out of Hollywood's a kind of a rare thing. It's funny because obviously I appreciate completely why that's a big deal and why that's specifically a big step forward for Hollywood. But it is a little bit funny to me as someone who watches a lot of Asian cinema. I'm just kind of used to having all Asian casts because I watch Japanese movies, I watch Korean movies, I watch Chinese movies.
Yeah, doesn't make me want to watch this movie anymore.
No. I mean, the subject of this movie, the romantic comedy of the rich family and the girl, and I don't care. Like, it's not my type of movie. Yeah. But hey, it's doing well, so cool. Next up, number 2 is The Meg, and its second weekend with 21.1 million.
What did we guess?
You guessed 20, and I guessed 17. So again, you take the victory there.
Making up for the last couple of weeks, apparently.
Meg's doing quite well. That's now made 314 million worldwide at the time of recording.
God, people love shark movies.
Yeah, Meg's doing all right.
I really think we vastly underestimate the amount that people want a shark movie.
And bizarrely, Matt didn't like it.
It makes no sense.
Everyone else,
it's a giant shark. What's not to love for Matt?
Other people seem to be digging it. I've heard the one complaint I've heard from other people is it should have been R-rated. That was what was holding it back from being the schlock that it should have been. But
it's hardly a deal breaker.
Depends. You want some shark munching action.
I mean, you do, but I don't think it's that'll ruin a film.
Yeah. No, that's true. Number 3 was Mile 22 with 13.6 million. I guessed 26, and you guessed 27.
Oh, we got that so right. I knew there was one we were going to get wrong.
So you were more wrong than I was. What I think is funny though is that my order was better because I had Crazy Rich Asians at number 1, and you didn't. You had it at number 2. You thought Mile 22 was going to outgross Crazy Rich Asians. So
that's true.
So I'm annoyed that you got Crazy Rich Asians so well money wise because you're actually totally wrong as to what was actually going to win the week, which bugs me.
Oh, I was 2 million wrong on what won the week.
Still, you picked the wrong movie. That accounts for more.
It doesn't.
So I had the right film at number 1. Points.
Sure, but oh man, we got that so wrong.
We did not bad with the other 2 though, because both of us had pretty reasonable guesses for the other 2. You may have been closer, but they were,
Yeah, we're in the ballpark.
Yeah.
I'm just laughing at how bad we were.
We said it was going to be a healthy weekend overall, and it was. Like 5 films the top 5 films are all in the double digits for millions. So I mean, it was a healthy overall box office for the weekend. Number 4 was Mission Impossible Fallout with 10.5 million. Wonder what that's done worldwide now. Let's have a quick peek. That has made 501 million worldwide. So that is actually quite a successful Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah.
Number 5 is Alpha. Actually, interestingly, they've got 5 before 4. But here's the thing: both Mission Impossible and Alpha, which was the next one on the list, both have exactly 10.5 million. I'm wondering if they don't actually know which one is slightly higher, so they're kind of sharing a spot there.
Yeah.
They're number 4 and 5 respectively. We just maybe don't know which way around until the actual figures come in.
Alpha's the dog movie, right?
Yes.
Just making sure I knew which one it was.
Yes. Number 6 is Disney's Christopher Robin with 8.8 million. Number 7 is Black Klansman with 7 million. Number 8 is Slender Man with 4.9 million. What's that done worldwide? That's been bombing hard. 21 million worldwide. Oof. Oh, you can tell that's not opened.
I was going to say, that's got to be just domestic mostly, right?
Yeah, you can tell that's not opened much where else, because it's 20.7 million domestic, and then foreign is 445,000.
I wonder where it got it. Because that can only be a couple of places at most.
Aruba, Indonesia, and Sweden.
There you go.
And Aruba, it grossed $2,137.
It's about 100 people.
Is it?
150? I don't know.
Anyway, number 9 was Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation, and number 10 was Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. Those last two had 3.6 and 3.3 million respectively. So there you go, that's your top 10 for the week. And as far as guessing next week goes, we really have only one film that's probably worth guessing, sadly. Although we could probably do week 2 for Crazy Rich Asians. I feel like that's the interesting one for the repeat.
Okay.
So we're looking at Crazy Rich Asians
and
the first week of Happy Time Murders.
God, I hope that bombs.
I hope it bombs too. And I think it might. I don't see it doing super well.
I think like 11.
I think it'll be more than that. I'm going to say 19.
I'm being just optimistic, I think.
It looks like garbage though, so I do hope it goes even lower than what yours is, even if it means you win.
Yeah.
And Crazy Rich Asians weekend, I think this won't have like the super drop because it started at a reasonable amount. I think it'll have some kind of legs. I'm going to go with a very respectable smaller drop down to about. Yeah, but you know what? I'm going to be really ballsy. I'm going to say 20. I'm going to say that it beats Happy Time Murders.
I agree that it beats Happy Time Murders, but I think it goes to about 17.5.
17.5, alright. So that I feel like you'll win in the figures this time, but I will again win what is number 1. That's my prediction.
Hang on, I've agreed with what's number 1.
Okay, but I was right is the point.
Jesus.
But I'll be right. That's the point, right? Anyway, moving on to news. Not a lot of comic movie news this week, just a couple of small things, and they're very quick. It's just simply Antoine Fuqua has apparently been having discussions with Marvel Studios to direct a Marvel movie. Who knows what that could be? No idea.
Could be anything. Yeah.
He typically does like crime movies and shit like that. He does, Training Day and
yeah.
So
they've got a lot of stuff hidden from us at the minute though. Yeah. So who knows?
I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll get some sort of street level hero in a movie, like in Phase 4. Maybe that's what they're angling for, or maybe he just wants to do something different. Maybe he's like, yeah, give me some sort of, give me Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because I hear you need someone for that.
He's taking the James Wan approach.
I mean, yeah, because he was so used to being horror and then he get taken for Aquaman. Yeah, I mean, maybe it'll be something like that where he's stepping outside of his usual repertoire. Yeah. And then the other thing, again, very quick. The reports are saying that Warner Brothers are looking for female directors to helm both Supergirl and Batgirl, and they're actively looking. This makes sense. It's worked for them with Wonder Woman. They're doing it with Birds of Prey. You get Kathy Yan directing that. In fact, one would even say that the New Gods film from Ava DuVernay might even focus more on Big Barda because of that pick. But I mean, who knows? But
depends what story they wanted to tell, isn't it?
Depends. I can see Big Barda and Mr. Miracle being key players in it, but it just depends.
Yeah, it depends. It depends if they want to go that side, if they want to focus on the Orion side of
Yeah.
things.
Not much to add.
Those are your two usual routes.
I thought I'd mention it. They're looking for, so it's just that they're actively looking for directors for the most part, but also the fact they're looking for female directors makes a lot of sense. And I mean, I like the idea of female directors directing male characters and male directors directing female characters, but in a vastly imbalanced directing field where there's far more male directors directing far more movies, if this is if this is how we can get more female directors making bigger movies,
gotta start somewhere, right?
then absolutely, yeah, do it. If this is the easy way to do it, and not that to say it's easy at all, but if this is the door, then yes.
Yeah. Also, the cynic in me is this is kind of the expectation now, right?
After Wonder Woman, yeah.
After Wonder Woman, and with other announcements we had, is okay if you're doing the female superhero, it's kind of got to be the female director at the minute. Because that's expectation. So I think it's just going to be that way.
Yeah, but I mean, it's paid off. They got a lot of good buzz from Wonder Woman. Obviously for a lot of reasons, but that was definitely one of them. Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot have definitely been like these like almost like Thelma and Louise best buddies, on social media.
Did you see the Breakfast Club style
for Wonder
picture?
Woman? Yeah, I did see that.
I'm like, okay, we get it. You're in the 80s.
I was laughing, sort of comparing who was who on the poster to the character in the Breakfast Club. And okay, so Wonder Woman's the what's her name? Ringwald. Yeah. And then I'm like, but Chris Pine's the Molly Sheedy character. All right.
He's the mysterious one in this movie, clearly.
Apparently. Who was Jenkins Bender? I feel like Jenkins was Bender. I could be wrong. But I was just funny, like comparing, like, wait, so is Cheetah going to be the jock? Because Kristen Wiig's there. I'm like, what's happening? Maybe she was on the other side, and she was.
I think they were just having fun with it, and you're overthinking it.
I'm probably overthinking it, but I was just comparing them to who they were in that movie. Anyway, that said, that's not as good as when Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 did it, because that came out right after Breakfast Club, and they did the poster, but with Leatherface and his family.
I saw people actually complaining, said, in terms of aping that poster, someone, Spider-Man Homecoming did it first.
No,
they were like, actually, I think you'll find Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 did it first, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I mean, Spider-Man, it made sense because it's a teen movie and that's what they were going for, whereas this is, we're in the 80s.
Hey, it's 80s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I'm okay for it to be a running gag that almost every movie has the casting director pose this photo. I'm okay with it. It's fine.
I'm fine with that too.
Go for it. Whatever. Anyway, so that was the comic book movie news. There wasn't a whole, it's rare that we get like a light week for that for comic book movies, but that's all that was there. So first up in the general news, Ewan McGregor has been interviewed this week. And
carry on.
He was asked about Star Wars, asked about Obi-Wan, and is there going to be some spin-offs? He'd been approached, and he very clearly said, "I would totally do it, but there's been no plans. Certainly, no one's contacted me or involved me in any plans of any kind." So
it's the same as what it's been for the last 2 years when people have been asking him.
That is fair. But this is now backed up by lots of other reports that they're cancelling movies left and right behind the scenes. So
you say lots of other reports. There's one source, and everyone's running with the story. I'm not saying it's untrue. I'm just being fair.
I don't know. I love to tell you about Star Wars movies being cancelled and not happening.
I know you do.
It's the best. It's the best thing ever.
I don't really care. I'll get what I get, and I'll enjoy it. Hopefully, when it comes out.
Hopefully.
I feel like I say, until it's officially announced, I'm sure they go through tons of ideas and cancel them unofficially.
Oh, sure.
All these studios do.
Oh, so to be fair, but one of the rumoured things that's been put on hold is that Rian Johnson trilogy, which was officially announced.
It was. I'm skeptical of that report, I'll be honest.
That's fair. Because that was the I want to say the set designer.
Yeah.
Or concept designer for the set or whatever. Who was saying that they were working on an Obi-Wan and that trilogy, or at least his comment made it sound like it was that trilogy. He never actually ever said it was that.
Yeah.
But he said that the work's only been put to a halt, which doesn't mean it's cancelled necessarily, but
yeah. Well, I can see, okay, an Obi-Wan movie, sure, that might have got cancelled. if it was ever in production. I think the only thing we have to link is he mentioned Tatooine, so people are going, oh, it must have been the Obi-Wan movie, right? I mean, could have been anything. Let's be honest. I doubt the Rian Johnson one's cancelled based because the reports are that it's cancelled based on fan backlash from Last Jedi. But given the critical reception and more importantly the box office, which is the real indicator.
Just wait, Rian Johnson will be Guardians of the Galaxy 3 now. Just you wait. That's why it's on pause. He's going to do that first.
That's it, and yeah, why not? They shuffle him over.
Please, I actually like those Guardians movies. This don't. Not that Rian Johnson's a bad director, by any means, but after Last Jedi, I don't know. He's great in TV shows. When he's directing an episode of Breaking Bad, he's perfect.
Do you know what? That reminds me, I was really annoyed on this week's review of Better Call Saul because I forgot to mention I happened to catch the director credit this week. They always pop up.
Yeah.
But I never use. Sometimes you just don't notice them because you're not looking for it. I happened to glance at the right time. It was Sean McLaren this week.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I was like, oh, we got her back again. And I'm like, I just forgot to mention it, and just talking about Breaking Bad reminded me.
She's damn good. She has a lot of good TV episodes. Like between
yeah.
that, Breaking Bad, Leftovers, she has a lot of good TV. All right, so moving on. Greg Silverman's Stampede production company has announced the acquisition of 2 novels for development. One is John Ridley's middle-grade fantasy series Revenge of Magic, and the other is Minnie Drake's twisted romantic comedy Star-Crossed. Revenge of Magic follows Fort Fitzgerald, a young boy born after Discovery Day, when long-dead magical creatures are unearthed around the world, each buried with a book of magic. After devastating attack kills his father, Fort is sent to a mysterious government-run Oppenheimer school to learn magic from the same books that, as only child, have the ability to unlock the dangerous power they hold within. Yeah, this is young adult stuff. I'm good.
Yeah. Potentially fun for me, but I mean, I'm not holding my breath.
Young adult plus fantasy is basically, my kryptonite.
You're out, yeah.
I'm done. And then the second book, Star-Crossed, is a romantic comedy that follows a magazine journalist who makes a few small alterations to the copy for Aquarius and her publication's horoscopes, and to get the romantic attention of her old friend Nick, a true believer in the star. So yeah, she forges a different Aquarius reading to somehow get him into her. And then her actions result in far-fetching, you don't say, and unattended ripple effects.
I saw an image. Artist Stephen Byrne posts a lot of images on Twitter and Facebook, and he does these little drawings of like slice of life things every so often. And it was like, me while dating, and it was like, what do you do? It's like, I like Doctor Who, and I like Buffy, all these stuff. And the guy's like, and the other person's going, I think we should just be friends. And then it gets to the last one, the last panel, and it's someone going, I'm a Sagittarius, I think we should just be friends. And it's just really reminding me of that. I'm going, why would you be that into them if they're really believing in these? If they think that these star signs are really changing their life, I think you're in the wrong person.
Unless you also believe that, in which case, yes, you're made for each other. Go for it.
Yeah, but you clearly don't believe it if you're willing to alter it in a magazine.
Oh, sure, but
it's not sacred enough.
Quirky rom-com.
Yeah.
This is the plan. I mean, would I like fake the voice of God if I was really into a religious girl? Sure. This is God. Date that slightly pathetic man over there. Yes, this has been the will of God.
That has never worked. It will never work. I know TV shows and movies tell you it will, but it won't.
Wait, why do you think I've tried this before?
I just assume.
I know it's a crazy idea. There's a reason why I don't do it. I'm comparing it to the stupid concept of this.
I know. I'm just saying you're that desperate.
That's not true. I'm way more desperate than that. So, moving on. American History X director Tony Kaye is undertaking a new and maybe controversial step in filmmaking by hopefully casting an actual artificial intelligence in his next film, which is called Second
I need to
Born.
See.
Right, so Kaye is aiming to cast a real robot who will be trained in different acting methods and techniques. Why wouldn't you just program to say what you want him to say? I feel like that's what you would do.
Then it's not AI, is it?
That's true.
Then it's just a robot.
Yeah, because we'll tell the difference when we're watching the movie. We'll believe that he's a smart enough robot that he's actually performing, on top, and he's not just been told to say lines. Anyway, the idea, which originated from Kane producer Sam Cozy, is to forgo the use of computer-generated effects in favour of physical AI robot as an actor. Now, I feel like if the technology exists already to have an AI robot, yes, that would be better than having CGI for the robot in your movie. But I feel like if you're actually having to try and crack that technology,
it's going to be so janky, isn't it?
Yeah. And this is the weird thing at the end. They're hoping the robot will get SAG recognition. What?
This is like, no, there was the robot in, I can't remember what country, but it got a driver's license. It was recognized as a citizen. And it got a driver's license. It was weird. It was like, I want to say like Middle East somewhere.
But
this was like a year ago, maybe.
Well, they're hoping I feel like this is super ambitious, but like I feel like before I buy that a robot is a good enough performer to possibly be considered for unions and awards, I feel like I have to just be used to the idea of lots of robots that have intelligence, and I can't see this being the first time I buy that the robot's actually artificially intelligent.
I mean, if it is, then take my money.
Oh god, yeah, sure. This is the weird part as well. Secondborn.
Oh, this is the weird part now.
This is the weird part. Secondborn is a sequel to Firstborn, an indie comedy directed by Ali Ashani. I was going to say Ashanti there, just because it rolled off my tongue a bit. Ashani. And it stars Val Kilmer, Tom Berenger, Greg Grunberg, and a bunch of other people. And it says the film, which will be released by Lotus Entertainment this year. So I assume they mean the first one. So the first one's not even out yet. Centers on a young married couple, Iranian-born Ben and American Kate, whose complicated first pregnancy forces their extended family from differing backgrounds to find common ground for the sake of the baby. What the hell is an AI robot got to do with a sequel to this story? I told you this was the weird part.
I love everything about this story. This is the best story we've ever had on this show.
Oh shit! I started reading the cast because I started not recognizing names, but the last three are actually notable as well. William Baldwin, Denise Richards, and Robert Nepper from he's in Twin Peaks and iZombie and Prison Break.
Right, okay.
You know his face.
Yeah.
And when was the last time Denise Richards was in something? She's too busy getting restraining orders against Charlie Sheen, I imagine.
This is such a surreal story.
So the first film.
Am I awake right now?
Yes, the first film is a clash of cultures with this American-Iranian couple, and the two families don't like each other, but they have to find mixed ground for the sake of them and the sake of their baby. Okay, I see the drama in that. It's a family drama, sure. Great story, right? Could be great. The sequel is being planned before the first one's even out, and the only thing we know about it is that the director wants to cast a robot.
Look. All I'm saying is the only plausible way I can see this being a sequel is if at the end of the first movie the baby dies and the father goes, or one of them goes into a rage and is like, right, I'm creating a replacement, and creates an AI replacement of the kid. I
mean, first of all, the fact that they're planning this sequel and they've got this radical robot idea for it is weird that the first one's not out already. But then on top of that, okay, once they're going to tell me the plot of the first one, I'm like, okay, so clearly this is going to somehow lead into AI or robots. Maybe it's like set like an AI, like a scientist is developing a robot or something, like, something that would lead to an obvious reason why they want to cast a robot in the second one. But it's this family drama about mixing cultures.
I don't think I've drunk enough for this.
I don't understand. Where does the robot come into the story?
Told you, the kid dies and they create an AI replacement.
I mean, it's called Secondborn, so I assume it's the second kid is the robot. But I mean,
But why? Just because?
But why? Yeah, why? This is the weirdest thing ever. I wonder if you see this first movie later this year, if anything in it implies that we might be going into some sort of sci-fi shenanigans in the second one with a robot.
I'm assuming this is more of a Cloverfield situation, of more just, hey, let's make that Cloverfield movie. Or this one's go, hey, let's just throw that onto that franchise. That'll do a franchise.
It's not a franchise, it's a drama about a couple and
It's going to be a franchise. It's going to be an AI franchise, thank you very much. We're going to do the rise of the machines.
This is like saying the next Cloverfield movie is going to be an abortion drama.
Could be.
With no supernatural elements of sci-fi whatsoever. It's just an abortion drama.
Just saying, it could be an abortion drama. And then it's all a big metaphor for the monster. The monsters are all a big metaphor for abortion, somehow. They'll find a way. It's not my job.
Yeah, how are you going to relate to the giant kaiju monsters coming from another dimension?
Someone else will figure that out. That's J.J. Abrams' problem. He's an ideas man.
She tries to have an abortion, and it's just a straight up abortion drama the entire film until the final scene where it turns out it won't die because it's an alien parasite from another world. Okay,
There you go. Solved.
this is one of the weirdest stories I have ever picked up for this news show. This is one of the weirdest ones I've ever found.
I honestly can't believe this is real. And all this is, I'm so glad we're doing this show now so that we get this story.
And it comes from someone who made American History X. This is someone who's a director who's known for making movies. This isn't some random new dude who's...
Oh, this is a proper filmmaker.
Yes, I am baffled by everything in this. Next up, Amazon Studios is underway in the UK on a ballooning survival film called The Aeronauts, which will star Felicity Jones and Eddie Redmayne, which might make you raise an eyebrow because they were already in a movie together called
Yes.
The Theory of Everything.
Very good.
That was good. It was good. I would say it was very good. It was good.
It's very good.
It was a little bit in the sappy biopic life for me
Yeah, fair enough.
at times, but performances, all the rest of it. Set in 1862, the film follows a wealthy young widow, Amelia Wren, played by Jones, obviously, and the ambitious scientist James Glacier, played by Redmayne, as they mount a balloon expedition to fly higher than anyone in history. The chances of survival are very slim. So that's your press. So it's a hot air balloon film. It's an adventure. And then he falls out of the balloon, he gets paralysed, and she has to take care of him for the rest of the film.
I don't know. I'm kind of into this.
Sure.
I mean, I don't have much to go on, admittedly.
It's just weird to me that you cast two people who have already played like a duo in another film.
Well, I mean, yeah. Clearly, just they were like,
Yeah.
hey, they had great chemistry. Let's do them.
The only example of this I can think of is Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder, where they would come back and be like different characters as a duo in different movies. They had like 3 or 4. Stir Crazy, Another You, See No Evil, Hear No Evil.
Just trying to think of any other examples. Other than actual comic pairings that then do films, that doesn't really count. Like I'm thinking like Peg and Frost.
Yeah, I guess Gene and Wilder Wilder and Pryor kind of fall into that category because they're like a comedy. I don't know if they actually did comedy together out of the movies, but once they started working together, they were 2 comedy actors.
Yes.
But like a couple, like a romance pair.
That's what I'm trying to. I can't think of any.
I don't know.
Someone will have to let us know if they've got any others.
I can't think of any, but it just that was the notable thing for me. Is like, hot air balloon adventures could be fine. It could be fun.
Yeah.
I could see it. Next up, sci-fi and fantasy giant Ursula K. Le Guin. Her acclaimed novelette, 9 Lives, is being reworked as a film by producers Gavin Humphreys of Quark Films and Sony Pictures International producer Josephine Rose. Set on a moon base far off world for off-world drilling, the darkly comic 9 Lives follows 2 jaded workers whose excitement at the prospect of incoming human company is dashed when they are instead sent 10 clones. If this is sounding a lot like Moon, I noticed that too. The story's themes of cloning, individualism, and the importance of social connection hit home when the story was published by Playboy in 1968 and still resonates today. I was not expecting the twist there that it was published in Playboy, but there you go.
And massively predates Moon too.
It does massively predate Moon. No, it does sound like there's a different enough twist on it, but there's a lot of parallels to make there with Moon.
The thematic point as well is clearly Moon.
Yeah, this sounds like it's more of a dark comedy though. To make its point, whereas Moon's more of a sort of heartfelt. There's humor in Moon, but it's more of a drama.
It is, yeah.
So that sounds interesting. I could see potential here. I mean, admittedly, again, I love Moon a lot, so you're going to have to. It's an uphill battle a little bit because you have to compare it to that. But
yeah,
I certainly like the themes that it's playing with. I certainly see especially since it's a duo.
Yeah, in theory, we should love it. It's just whether it can rise above Moon.
Yes, but it doesn't even have to rise above. It just has to.
It differentiates.
Be different enough that I'm not comparing it too heavily with it. So next up, Paramount Players has optioned Chris Lee's Daily Beast story when Prince made a chambermaid his queen for a day, and Elizabeth Banks is on board to star and produce this. It's called Queen for a Day. So they've just got Flora Greason to rewrite the first draft about the chaos that occurred in 1986 when Warner Brothers hatched a contest to draw attention to Prince's Purple Rain follow-up under the Cherry Moon. The studio staged Win a Date with Prince, an MTV contest in which the 10,000th caller won a date with the rock star. Actually, more than a date. The studio would stage a premiere of Prince's film in the winner's hometown, followed by a concert toplined by Prince and the Revolution. The winner was Lisa Barber, a young lady in Sheridan, Wyoming, and who cleaned hotels and was a big Motley Crue fan. It's weird that they point that out when she won A Day with Prince.
Yeah.
But hey, the movie is inspired by an article about the Cinderella story date, but the movie will be about how the event changed the lives of two very different women. The Manhattan PR exec responsible for the event's success, and the shy, awkward contest winner from Wyoming, whose town became the unexpected nexus of all things Prince for one unforgettable night. Prince himself will not be played by an actor in the film, but his presence will hover over throughout. The movie will focus on the Herculean effort, as is a weird word to use in this case, that went into organising the event. I was like, yeah, that PR person, she's a Hercules, yeah. And brought the 5'3" purple-clad rock icon to a small cowboy town and established his date in the rock media sensation. As the article implied, behind the scenes, coke-fueled chaos reigned. Interesting that they're not going to have him in the... I mean, there may be some archive footage of him, I could imagine.
Yeah, archive footage. Maybe I can see maybe a CGI recreation here or there for certain moments, if necessary.
Maybe. I feel like what they're going to do with this, though, is they're going to, like... They'll talk... I'm thinking Maris from Frasier, right? They're constantly talking about him, but he's never there. And then when we finally do see anything of him, it'll be like footage of the real concert, or it'll be footage of the real date, or whatever. But they don't want to just like have someone play him, because it sounds like the story's more about the PR person and the women who won the contest. No, it does.
But I feel like, especially for the side of it with the contest winner, seeing at least some of that interaction feels like a pivotal part of that story.
You know, it'll be over the shoulder maybe, so there'll technically be an actor there like standing in for him, but it won't be the face. And I feel like, yeah, you'll probably get one maybe moment where we see him, but it'll be like one moment towards the end when she finally sits down with him or something like that, and it'll be like, you know, the one money shot, and that'll be it. It won't be like... I don't think they're going to go like, you know, every other scene's going to be like CG Prince.
Oh no, no, absolutely not. I mean like once or twice.
Yeah.
Like, but I think, like I said, I think at least one scene with them interacting feels like it feels essential to that story.
To the plot,
to me.
yeah. It's a really funny movie concept. It's really specific about It's not often you hear a movie about a contest winner, especially for something like this where it doesn't sound like... It sounds like it was chaos behind the scenes getting it all together, and I'm sure that'll make a good story, because typically these types of things where they try to struggle to get everything ready for the day, you know.
Yeah.
Wayne's World 2, they're doing their Wayne stock, they're trying to get everything ready. Like, I don't know why that's the one that came to mind, but like stories like that, it works.
It does, yeah.
But it's really specific. But hey, it doesn't sound like anything disastrous happened like in front of the camera, as it were, for this to be like something everyone remembers as a crazy.
No, they talk about behind the scenes coke-fueled incidents. So you know, it'll be maybe the PR people just did a fantastic job of hushing.
Yeah. Then next up, Saban Films has acquired the US distribution rights to The Super, a Stephen Rick directed genre thriller starring Val Kilmer. Which notably here says Top Gun 2's Val Kilmer. I'm like, he was in Top Gun 1 as well. That's not sell him short. He's also
he's done a lot of other things.
Yeah, he's also a pretty known actor. You know, Batman Forever. Me and Matt are doing a movie on Overload this month. With a minute for a start.
What movie is that?
The Ghost in the Darkness.
All right.
So, but yeah, he's a pretty prolific actor. He's been in a lot of stuff. He's had some bad times where he's been doing some direct-to-video shite, but he's someone.
But what actor of his age hasn't?
So the Super centers on a mysterious disappearance of several tenants at a luxury New York City apartment building. Phil Lodge, the building's new superintendent and former NYPD officer, immediately suspects Walter, played by Kilmer, the strange maintenance man. With his daughter's lives on the line, Phil must decipher the cryptic riddles in which Walter speaks to solve the disappearances before it's too late. I mean, I like the potential that someone could get out of this. I feel like the chances... I think there's a 99% chance that this is generic thriller trash.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like to me. But I don't hate the
No,
idea.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's Savannah Choir in it means it's probably not that competitive, right?
Yeah, you would think.
Which
Unless the
is
band's
usually,
getting really serious about their movies.
I mean, maybe, but I mean, it sounds to me like it wasn't that competitive, and they went, yeah, go on then.
Yeah. So yeah, but that takes us on to the horror movie news section. So first up in the horror section, Broadway Video. We've got a horror comedy here to talk about. They've announced the cast for their first feature comedy, Vampires versus the Bronx, which includes Sarah Gaden, Chris Redd, the Kid Miro, Method Man, Shea Wigham. You know who that is? He's been in a bunch of. He's in Agent Carter. He's been in a bunch of movies.
I probably know his face. I also know Method Man, obviously.
Obviously, yeah. Vladimir Camino's in there, or Camano's in this. Jaden Michael, Gregory Diaz the fourth, jeez. Gerald W. Jones the third. We got a fourth and a third in the same cast.
That name there, I was like, this has got to have a number after it. Otherwise, you're wasting that name. If you're not giving that to your son every time, what are you doing?
All right. Also, Coco Jones. Interestingly, Gregory Diaz the fourth was in Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. That's the the claim to fame. Interestingly, for Method Man, it just says HBO's The Deuce. Doesn't mention anything else about it. Just he's in The Deuce.
Well, they want to mention his acting credit, right? And
that's true.
That's his most high-profile acting credit for sure.
So big cast makes sense given the concept, though. The logline for this is when gentrification from an unlikely and deadly source creeps into the Bronx, a group of teenage friends rally to save the beloved local bodega and fight against the supernatural force intent on taking over their home all at once. So as vampires come out of the Bronx, you can tell all the older cast members will be like the store owners and the people who live there, and then you've got this ragtag group of teenagers who are going to save them.
Yeah.
Well, some will be vampires, obviously, as well. I don't know which ones, though.
Yeah. I feel probably the older ones, right?
Maybe I could see it being a mix.
Maybe a mix. Yeah.
I could go either way, really. I could see Method Man like being like a store owner, though. Like he's the sort of the friendly.
I think it'd be way more fun to see Method Man as a vampire.
I don't see. I mean, maybe it will be. Maybe they're going for wacky, like over the top vampires. And
it really depends on the tone of the movie. I'm kind of down though.
But next up, so Jeremy Slater, who created the Exorcist, that's a TV show, not the original movie or book, obviously. He is going to write the Tommyknockers, a Stephen King adaptation based in his '87 book.
Not got enough of those going around.
Yeah, tons of Stephen King adaptations all of a sudden. I wonder why. So James Wan's Atomic Monster is producing, although they did confirm that he's not going to direct it, because I think when the story first broke, people assumed he was going to direct it, and it was like, oh, that's a big deal. But he's not. His company's producing it. He's busy.
Standard.
Yes. Stephen King's The Tommyknockers is about the residents of Haven, Maine. Maine. You don't say. It's set in Maine. I am shocked. Absolutely shocked. Set in Maine, and they experience changes from a metal object that turns out to be an extension of a long-buried alien spacecraft. Once it's exposed, the spacecraft releases an invisible gas into the atmosphere that gradually transforms the people into beings similar to their alien visitors.
Okay. Sounds alright.
Yeah. Sounds like a Stephen King story, so sure.
Yeah. And we like the Exorcist TV show.
We did.
Surprisingly good horror.
Yeah. He did also write The Lazarus Effect, which me and Tim somehow avoided watching, but it looked terrible. So, I mean...
Okay. Yeah.
That could be a director, though, that's messing that up.
It could be. Or it could be that The Exorcist just had better writers on its staff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Next up, Jason Blum of Blumhouse, who's been interviewed, Q&A session, Twitter, in fact, and they were asking about various movies that were upcoming. So we just got a couple of quick updates on a couple of things. They've already shot Happy Death Day 2.
That was quick.
Horror movies can be quick. It's done.
No, they can. I feel like we only heard about it like a month ago.
It's actually been longer. So it's been more like 6 months, to be honest. But I mean,
not long.
Yeah. I mean, we were getting news about Happy Death Day 2 in like January, February, March kind of time.
Oh, fair enough though.
It's been a while.
I'm surprised we're not having that snuck out in October then. I mean, maybe we are.
Maybe. I wonder if they're going to try and hit Groundhog Day though next year.
Maybe.
I can see him doing that, something like that. Anyway, so it's already been shot. He said he's seen an early cut of it already, and he's like, "Oh, it's good. Of course he's going to say
I
that.
mean, he's going to say that, yeah.
But, you know, that's just... I didn't even know they were doing a Gallows 2, but apparently the Gallows Act 2 has also been shot, and it should be coming within the next 9 months. So that's also kind of, you know, going to be a quick release. I mean, not quick compared to when the first came out, because it's been on a couple of years, but quick in terms of, you know, we'll hear about it happening and then it'll be out. The first film is terrible. It does sound like this one though. There's a lot of description for this one. The film is a sequel to the 2015 movie. It begins after an aspiring actress transfers to a prestigious new school where her desires are twisted by a viral challenge capable of conjuring a malevolent spirit. That sounds like it's completely standalone. It sounds like, sure, it's set in a school, it'll probably be found footage like the first one. It does sound like it's going to be completely standalone, so even though the first one really, really sucked...
I didn't even see it, and I hate that movie from the trailer that I had to watch a million times because it was on in front of every movie for a month.
That's fair, but it did give me that soft, mellow piano version of Smell Teen Spirit, which I do like. Yeah,
that was nice.
That's good. It's a good cover.
Awful trailer.
Yeah, but the movie sucked balls. It was a really bad movie. But I'm not excited for this. I'm not trying to like stick up for it. I'm just saying that this sounds like it's standalone enough that it might actually just end up being okay because it's on its own. But
yeah,
you know, I wouldn't say I'm excited for it. That's it. It's called Act 2, so maybe it'll link up with the first film more than I'm realizing. But it sounds fairly.
Yeah, we'll wait and see.
Because I don't remember there being any viral elements in the first one.
I'm sure you and Tim will cover it anyway.
Oh, we will. Absolutely, we will. We suffer some of the shite. Just you wait.
You suffer way too much shite. I wouldn't put up with that amount.
That said, we got The Nun coming up, and then and also next month, Mandy starring Nicolas Cage. That's out next month.
I know Tim is very excited for that.
I'm excited. Not only, I loved the trailer, but not only that, Nicolas Cage. There was an article on Bloody Disgusting a couple of weeks ago saying Nicolas Cage and how his character in Mandy is based on Jason Voorhees, and I'm like, I'm in. What? How? I love it. I need to see this.
That trailer was just insane. Absolutely asinine. And it was kind of amazing for it.
I am looking forward to Mandy. And if the song "Oh Mandy" doesn't play by the end of the movie, it will.
It's a Nicolas Cage movie. It'll play.
I'll be disappointed. That's all I'm saying. Also, it's something else they said during the Q&A. I think Bloom said that, you know, because people say, oh, Halloween's coming up soon, you know, Blumhouse is doing this. You know, that's a kind of a big deal. Blumhouse, which we think of as the main horror distributor now, right? I feel like you have Blumhouse, you'll have Lionsgate will do a few, and you've got maybe a couple of places that put out horror movies on the regular, but Blumhouse are the big one now, right? They're putting out so much of the horror content. And they've got Halloween, arguably the biggest horror franchise that exists.
It's definitely up there. There's no debate about that.
And, you know, they said, could you acquire other franchises? Like, is that something that's on the plan? And he said the chances are excellent that they'll be acquiring more franchises. And I don't know which franchises. I mean, there's tons that it could be.
Look, we're all hoping for one in particular, aren't we? Like everyone's got, okay, what one do you want them to get?
What are we hoping for in particular?
Clearly, we need new Leprechaun movies.
Okay, first of all, they're already making a new Leprechaun movie.
I know, but we need one from Blumhouse where it might be a little bit better.
No, we don't need more Leprechaun movies. That is not what needs to happen in this life. I mean, I feel like you know, both Jason and Freddy, I feel like they're locked in with Warner Brothers because they're not going to give them up. Why would they? And New Line, of course. And New Line do horror movies as well, of course.
They do, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I could see a lot of smaller ones being snapped up. Like, I could
see something like The Exorcist.
Warner Bros. Aren't going to give that up.
Have they done anything with it recently?
Did a TV show.
I mean, other than the TV show, but they might license out for movies, not fully let them acquire it, but license it to them.
No, I'm thinking more mid-tier kind of things, like because what else is kind of in limbo, like Halloween was, like between like was always switching right holders, like I don't know, like Hellraiser. Could Hellraiser go to Blumhouse? You know, or I don't know. Just thinking. Texas Chainsaw is probably not a terrible one to guess as well. That seems to switch right. I mean, I think this line's getting now, so maybe not. But
Evil Dead jumps all over the place, right?
Yeah.
Don't know who's got that at the minute.
Well, I mean, they just had Ash vs Evil Dead, did the remake in 2013, and I think
2013 to the last movie.
That was Sony, I think, did the remake.
Was it?
Sony made a good movie. That's shocking.
And they've got a game coming out with what's his name back as Ash, isn't
they? Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just thinking, like, what other franchises could do bring back and resurrect? Like, do we get Critters from Blumhouse? Do we get? And what's interesting to me about Halloween is that they've not really done slasher movies before. This is kind of a new branch for them, almost.
It's true. I think for the longest time, I thought of Blumhouse as just supernatural and demons, right?
I'm glad they're branching out because as much as I like when they're good, I do feel like we're a bit oversaturated with the supernatural stuff for the past like 5-10 years. I feel like that's been dominating.
No, I agree. I think since like Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, that's a fair place to say it started. Yeah.
I think since then that's kind of been the dominant subgenre.
Yeah, and I could be doing with some slasher movies again. I could be doing with the various things, and if Halloween does well, I'm sure I'll get more of them. So,
yeah.
But no, an interesting
no reason
comment.
to suspect that it won't do well yet either.
It's just an interesting comment that Blumhouse might also acquire older franchises and do more sequels or reboots or whatever.
It implies that they're actively looking into it, right?
Yeah. So that's interesting. Anyway, so next up, so we have Oz Perkins, who's actually the son of Anthony Perkins, who was Norman Bates. So interesting bit of trivia. He directed The Black Coat's Daughter, which was very good. Me and Tim did that on Streams.
I remember you talking about it a while ago.
That was very good. Emma Roberts was in that. That was pretty solid. And also, Joe was in it. What's her first name? Shipka, the new Sabrina. She was in that.
Oh, right, okay. I would never have known. No.
She was in that. He also did a film called I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House, which I actually haven't seen yet. That was one that was on Netflix for a long time. It might still be there.
I've heard good things about it.
But Black Coat's Daughter was very good. We'll have to get to that other one actually at some point. But he is working on a new film. He's at least writing. Oh, he's going to direct. He's going to direct a film called Gretel and Hansel. Not Hansel and Gretel. Gretel and Hansel. And it's supposed to be a faithful adaptation. So the original tale, if you're not familiar with it, published in 1812. Hansel and Gretel are a young brother and a sister kidnapped by a cannibalistic witch living deep in the forest in a house constructed of cake, confectionery, and candy. I'd love to be in a house made of that stuff. And
you'd think that, and you'll be sick of it after a week.
I would, but I'd love that first hour.
God, imagine the ants.
That'd be heavy. Well, sure, in real world context, sure there'd be ants, but in my head...
I think it just shows I'm really not a fan of sweet things.
That's fair. Anyway, and many more delicious treats that are imaginable. The two children escape with their lives by outwitting her. Interesting. I wonder if thematically there's a reason to swap the names around. Like if that's going to play into what he's
maybe
specifically doing with his take on it.
I would assume there's a reason.
Yeah. So no, I mean, I really like Black Coat's Daughter, so I'm really down to see what he does next.
Yeah, and I'm down for them saying a faithful adaptation because those original versions of those tales are dark as shit.
Yeah, I'm expecting this to be a full-on horror movie, like a full-on.
It will be, yeah, and yeah, it just is. Those stories are terrifying.
And this is another one that Orion Pictures have got. So Orion Pictures are getting into the horror game.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. Orion, of course, I get nostalgia every time I talk about Orion Pictures because I think of them as the logo at the start of Terminator and RoboCop, and then they went away for decades.
Yeah, but I think horror is the right sort of level of genre for them.
Oh, absolutely, now. Yeah. No shortage of horror to check out. So, apparently, film is expected to start in Europe in the fall, so probably within the next couple of months. And I imagine that means we'll have it by the end of next year because horror movies tend to be quite quick turnaround.
Yeah, you might see this for next Halloween.
Yeah. So that takes us on to our final news story of the week. Auteur director David Robert Mitchell, who directed It Follows, so pay attention, because It Follows is like one of the best horror movies of the last 10 years. Damn it! So It Follows director David Robert Mitchell, rather. That's annoying. He's got 3 first names. That's just inconsiderate.
Yeah, I thought it was bad having 2, and. Yeah, people get my names out of order all the time.
Yeah, David Robert Mitchell, 3 first names. How dare he? Or how dare his parents? How dare they?
That's the thing. I could never go by my middle name as well. Like, my full name. Because then I'd have 3 first names.
What's your middle name?
Just be I'm not getting into that now.
Oh, go on. What's your middle name?
No, I don't go by it. It doesn't exist.
Clark.
For this reason. What?
Clark.
No. We're not guessing my middle name. We'll be here all night. Just carry on with the story.
Jim. Hell, I've kind of got two first names as well. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't really consider it before.
You do. But did you get a lot of at school, or people calling you by your surname?
Oh, never.
Thinking no, that's it. I got that a lot. No. Even now at work, I will,
do you know what I think it is? I think it's because my last name, well, it's a first name generally. I don't think where I come from, it was generally used as a first name.
Yeah, it's not that common a first name, I suppose, in depending on where you are.
Yeah. I think in the US, it's a really common first name, but...
Yeah, whereas Ryan, that's a very common first name.
So he's actually working on another horror film. He's not directing it, though, which is a shame. That's the disappointing part of this news. But he is writing it. He's writing a script for They Hear It.
I feel like you really undermine the point of the article calling him an auteur-director. If he's not being an auteur on this story.
So he's going to write the script for the adaptation of a short film, but it's actually the filmmaker behind, or it's the writer behind the short story that's going to make it into the movie. He's going to direct it. So... I mean, I assume he has some trust in this individual that he's willing to write a script for him.
Yeah.
To make his movie.
Must really like that short film.
Yeah, it's going to be Julian Terry. Oh, sorry, it was a short film, not a short story. So he is a director. He directed a short story, a short film.
Right.
So he is a director. So that's good news. Because when I first read it, because it just says the short earlier this year. And I read it as short story, and I thought, that's weird. The writer of the short story is not writing the script, but he's going to direct the movie.
I assumed that it was just a short film when you said
short film.
Short. Yeah,
it's a short film. So the story revolves around a mysterious presence called the Sound that once heard by anyone has a terrible consequence. Sources say that the expanded feature will have the Alfred Hitchcock classic The Birds and Stephen King's adaptation It as touchstones. So... I'm picturing people trying to avoid hearing things, and I see potential.
I'm down for this.
Yes. I see potential in this.
Part of me is a little cynical going, this feels like Quiet Place did quite well.
See, I think this is the opposite, though. This is them trying not to hear a noise as opposed to make noise.
Yeah, but I feel like it'll lead to inevitably a lot of people wearing like earplugs and stuff to block out noise, and there'll be a lot of sign language, right?
Oh, potentially, yeah. It depends if... To me, that sounds as if they're all really well aware. I feel I can see this being set in a small town, and stuff starts happening, and it's only later on in the movie where they start to realise... So they won't know sign language because they've only just started trying to wear earplugs and shit.
Oh, maybe, yeah. It's
because A Quiet Place is kind of unique in that it takes place in this post-apocalyptic world where they know all about this. This is just the established thing.
Yeah.
Whereas I see this being like a new thing that's introduced to the characters over the course of the film.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Yeah, that's my guess. I think that's the more obvious route that it would take. But
I think it depends if the short film, if it's going to be just an adaptation of that, or if it's going to be almost like a pseudo sequel, as if the short film is the incident occurring and them learning about it, and then the film is the full feature length is this is in that world now.
It calls it an adaptation. I would expect it to just expand the idea more than anything else.
That's fair.
But no, I can see a lot of I think this presents an opportunity for the characters to be really proactive and try and defend themselves, and I like that. I like when the horror concept gives them that chance.
Yeah, I can see a lot of things of they're trying to avoid hearing it, so they put in earplugs. But now they're not hearing something actually important. They're not hearing something vital in the real world threat.
Yeah. Basically, it comes down to my favorite thing in horror movies when there's something kind of supernatural. Rules. I like clearly established rules, and when there's clearly established rules, I can really get into it because I understand that. I was really disappointed with Lights Out because that really set up the rules. And it never really did what I thought it would do with them, or anything interesting with them.
That movie was kind of really average.
And it's a shame, because the concept was great.
No, I agree. I watched it going, high hopes. And
because that movie made me think of like when you're playing lava as a kid and there's parts of the floor you can't step on. That's what that movie was. It was like, okay, you've got like a light here and there's a light up there. Yeah, you've got this like dark area. It's dangerous. It's no man's land. And you have to somehow get over there.
Yeah.
You know? Like, you know, there's just simple things like that, and it just kind of felt like a letdown. But I see like rules in this. I see like, okay, we can clearly understand they can't hear this thing, so that's what they have to avoid. You can understand just at a core level what they're trying to avoid doing, and
Yeah.
it works. I think that helps it. So, that's interesting. That's called They Hear It. So, and that's coming from Legendary Entertainment and the Picture Company. So there you go. That is this week's news.
Cool.
We're done. So, I mean, did you watch any movies this week that you would like to?
No, I didn't.
You did not. No.
I've not had any time.
No, I've been playing a lot of video games this week. I mean, I watched a lot of movies for shows, but nothing's extra on top of it.
I've been just working a lot of overtime, a lot of weird shifts. I've been all over the place, so I've been just trying to sleep when I can, and it's thrown our schedule off a little bit this week.
Yeah. A couple of things get pushed back, although luckily we were ahead on those things, so it's not affected things too much. So what we usually do at the end here is we'll tell you what's been up in the channel, movie review wise, what's coming up, if we can tell you that. So, and I say if because sometimes it's a last minute decision what we're doing the following week. So yeah, what went up in the channel this week? So the public for 1.21 in Flux got Samurai 2 Duel at Ichijojo Temple, which is the second part of the Samurai trilogy. We did the first part about a month and a half or so ago. Very good. Well worth checking out if you like Japanese and Asian cinema. And we did that. Patrons, however, got Women in the Dunes, which is the Patreon winner of the vote for last month, and that is also a Japanese film actually, but it's a existential horror film, I'll call it.
Yeah, it's pretty unique.
Yeah, but we went quite long in that. We went almost an hour talking about that because it was quite in depth and really good as well, actually. So that goes up for everyone else next Friday, so you can look forward to that.
And if you haven't seen the movie yet, definitely go and check it out this week, and then you can come and check out the review fresh.
It's good. So you have that. Patrons next week on Influx are
should be getting the 7th seal.
They should be, yes. We're doing the 7th seal.
Yeah, unless something goes drastically wrong tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, my Blu-ray like evaporates in the player or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But no, we should be doing the 7th seal because we're doing, of course, at the end of the month for 121 in Flux, because every quarter, give or take, we like to do a countdown, a top 50 or something similar, and we're doing top 50 world cinema. So for the one free slot this month that didn't have something in it, I was like, okay, it's your pick, Connor, and we're going to do a foreign...
this was a vault pick.
Was this a vault pick?
Yeah, this is one from the vault.
Oh, never mind. Okay, it's a vault pick. And we picked the 7th seal because it's a foreign film, and we're doing a foreign list at the end. And Connor hadn't seen 7th seal before, so this made sense.
I did choose out of the selection of foreign movies on the vault.
Yes, so it made sense to cross off a biggie, which may or may not make his list, but he can make a better list because he at least knows if he likes it enough or not. It's more valid because he has more context.
It is. I mean, I would hope it makes the list, given its reputation. But who knows?
We shall see. So that's in Flux. So like I say, countdowns come at the end of the month. That's usually in 2 parts. We'll do 25 in one part, 25 in another. So you can look forward to that. Screams After Midnight this week got A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, The Dream Child, which is a questionable sequel, although Tim liked it more than I did. But you can check out that. We've been working through that franchise since last October. If that seems a little bit slow that we're only on part 5 11 months later, that's because we have to make sure it lines up with Friday the 13th so that when we get to Freddy vs. Jason, they're both in the right place, and there's more Friday the 13th than there are Nightmare on Elm Streets. So there's been a Friday the 13th more consistently, but we have to skip some nightmares so that they'll line up at the end. That's the reason.
It makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. There's a reason. There's a method to the madness. So you get that, and we should have a new film. I won't tell you what it is, but there should be a new release next Wednesday on Screams After Midnight for everyone. And you know what? We're getting closer now. We're getting middle of August. I should mention the Octoberthon because we're getting kind of close now. Me and Tim have been doing a lot of preparations for Screams After Midnight come October, and this is, even if you don't like horror movies, it's worth knowing this just so you know that this is just a 1 month thing in case you're worried that the channel's going to be flooded with Screams After Midnight all the time. But in October, because it's the month of Halloween, we do a lot of extra episodes, something around 5 per week for those 4 weeks or so of October, and me and Tim have been prepping for that, and that's fun. Obviously, every month there's a Patreon vote for a movie on Streams After Midnight, but you get a choice of 4 movies, just like Influx, and our patrons vote for a winner. In September, there'll be 3 votes for the month of October, because we like to celebrate. 2 of them will be for patrons, and there'll be a free vote for the public. So you can look forward to those votes going up at the start of September, sometime early September. So you can look forward to that. But I figure it's worth starting to build a bit of hype for the Octoberthon, because it's kind of Streams After Midnight's Christmas in a way.
It kind of is, yeah. Everyone else gets the end awards stuff. Like the TV and the Gigawatts get, okay, here's the big end of year awards.
And we do that. We do a top 10 best and worst at the end of the year, but
you do, but it's not as comprehensive as something like like when we get towards awards season,
which
we do a lot of catch up, right?
Actually, but I was talking about Tim about potential count, because we did a top 100 horror films last October, and we're hopefully doing like a top 50 of some kind for this October. I was talking about next year's end of year awards, and I realised something. It's not just the end of the year; it's the end of the decade, which means there'll be end of decade awards. So I think the plan that I've got in my head right now for the regular movies, for Gigawatts and Flux, all that stuff that me, Connor, and Matt will be doing, I think my plan would be that we'll still push the year awards till March, till like Oscar time, so we've got time to catch up in that year's movies. But I think our big top 50 of the decade will probably be a New Year's.
Yeah. So then just the last handful from 2019 get shafted.
Yeah, but that's just such a small part of the overall decade.
It's not, compared to 1 year where that's a big deal. It's not as big a deal unless there's something really big coming out.
So yeah, so the New Year's top 50 for next year, just you can pencil it in now. It'll be the top 50 movies of the 2010s, because that'll be the time to do it.
God, that's terrifying.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? It's the end of it. Do you know, I remember getting to the end of 2009 and be like, oh man, it's the end of it. Because I think that was notable for me in terms of like doing like my top lists and things, because it was when I was in high school in the mid 2000s that I became like a film guy. I became someone who seeked out films and was really into it. So it was like, oh man, I can do an end of decade list for like a decade. I actually was watching these movies through.
Yeah, I remember even more recently, but it still feels like longer ago. And I'm in the Mild Fuzz Facebook group, which we do these lists every so often, and everyone can submit, and we make a big night out of it. We did the top, the half decade.
That's right. We did that in early 2015.
Yeah, and so obviously that was 3.5 years ago now.
Yeah. Yeah, we're starting to talk about end of decade awards now.
Yeah.
Time is flying. Time is flying. What will be really bad though is that next time we're doing end of decade awards for the 2020s, I'll be like, shit, we're getting really old now. That's another decade past. Shit.
Yeah.
Here we are though. Here we are. So you can pencil that in. But yeah. So the plan is that Streams After Midnight, along with a lot of extra movies in October for Octoberthon, there'll be a top 50, probably of a decade, for just specifically horror movies that me and Tim will do. Just in the same style that we do on Influx, with us alternating picks for our own top 50s. And we've got the World Cinema Top 50 coming at the end of this month from Influx. So yeah, big things happening. And as far as new movie reviews go in terms of Gigawatts, there will be a lot more coming in the last few months of the year. It's been kind of quiet these past couple of months, but don't worry, The Predator's coming next month, and then once we hit October though, there's quite a few coming over October, November, December that I know we're all interested in checking out. So
yeah, I mean, even the big releases even go through to January, which isn't obviously penciled in that heavily, but we're due the new Hellboy movie in January.
And Glass.
Yeah, I mean, like that is weird to get 2 movies of that level in January.
It is. Although the fact that there's still no Hellboy trailer makes me concerned that it may get pushed, but I mean, we'll see.
It might. They might be just playing it close to the chest, because we know they were filming a while ago. We saw pictures in costume, and
could be a New York Comic-Con reveal, maybe.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah,
something like that. I don't know.
That's October, right?
Yeah, it's October.
Yeah. Could
tie it into Halloween, kind of horror-esque. Why not?
That makes sense.
Bit close, but hey ho, whatever. So yeah, there's movie reviews coming a little bit later for new stuff. Just look forward to that. We're actually inundated with blockbusters in November and December. It's weird. Like,
there's what happened to summer this year?
There's like Aquaman, Bumblebee, Alita Battle
Alita,
Angel,
yeah.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and like the new Fantastic Beasts, all in the space of about 3 weeks of each other. It's insane.
It is, yeah.
And it's like shit. Like,
I think Mary Poppins is in that like chunk of time as well.
I mean, I'm not reviewing that, but if you
no, I'm not saying just for us. Just in terms of
Yeah.
just how crowded the cinema release schedule is.
Sure, yeah, I get what you're saying.
And how competitive the holiday market is going to be.
It's weird. July and August have felt kind of, and there's been some stuff, but it feels kind of lukewarm.
It feels like there's been maybe one a month.
It's, yeah,
Like, one big movie for July, one for August. It hasn't felt like one a week like sometimes we get.
Mid-level movies. It feels like a couple of months of mid-level movies. Not that they're bad looking per se. They're just mid-level looking.
Yeah.
But hey ho, not to say that. I mean, I think all those movies I mentioned are going to be good, but they're all blockbusters, undeniably. So. Anyway, that brings an end to the movie news show. So thank you very much for watching or listening. We did mention Patreon and voting a few times there, so obviously if you want to get involved in that, if you want to support the channel, if I don't hit my mic with my pen, you can head over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, and you can support us for as little as $1 per month, and that probably amounts to more than if you watched ads like on every video you watch from us over the month. That said, if you can't support us financially on Patreon, yeah, watch the ads on YouTube. It's a way you can help without spending any money out of your own pocket. But if you do want to support us, then you can go over to Patreon. You get some bonuses for your troubles, and we'll appreciate you loads. But otherwise, get us on Twitter's at @mailed_fuzz. There's actually a dedicated Screams After Midnight Twitter now if you want horror movie stuff specifically at Screams Midnight. Couldn't fit the whole thing. It's too long to put the whole title on. It's upsetting.
I feel like you should have got creative and thought of a way to do after. Should have been Midnight Screams.
Nah, I tried that first.
Oh,
Taken.
okay. I'm just because then that would have been the clever one.
I thought of that. I did think of that, but it was taken.
Yeah.
I kind of knew it would be like I put it in sort of like knowing it was probably futile.
Yeah, but you tried that with DC Comics podcast, and
I
then you got that one.
Yeah, so whatever, I'll take it. But yeah, that's us guys. So thank you very much once again for watching and listening. We love you loads. We appreciate you always. Keep watching movies, and we will see you next time.